Some places absorb the pain and fear of those who live there, leaving behind a spiritual residue. Sometimes this residue is just a cold spot or a strange feeling, but sometimes it becomes something much darker. This is what happened at 284 Green Street, Enfield, North London. For the Hodgson family, this house became a nightmare, a place where the veil between worlds was torn open. The Enfield Poltergeist is not fiction, it's a documented case, witnessed by police, journalists and investigators. The haunting was extreme: screaming, objects flying, attacks and a voice speaking through a child. It all began in an ordinary home with an ordinary family. The most intense hauntings often happen in the most normal places. Darkness doesn't need a castle or graveyard, just a doorway or a vulnerable soul. In 1977, the Hodgson family's sanctuary was shattered by an unseen force. This is the story of that entity, the family it tormented, and the house that still holds its secrets. We must listen to the evidence and eyewitness accounts to understand the true nature of this encounter. The Hodgson family was completely ordinary. Peggy, a single mother, and her 4 children, Margaret, Janet, Johnny and Billy. They lived a simple life in a rented council house, facing everyday challenges. Janet, 11, was at the center of it all. Paranormal experts believe poltergeist activity often centers around adolescents, especially girls. Janet was bright, mischievous, and unprepared for what was coming. Before the haunting, their lives were routine. The house was just a home. No stories, no legends, no warning. The activity exploded into their lives overnight, turning their world upside down. Peggy was alone, powerless to protect her children from something she couldn't see or fight. The entity isolated the family, making them feel helpless. The Hodgsons weren't seeking attention. They were a family in distress, desperately crying out for help as their home became a prison. Their vulnerability made them the perfect target. The haunting didn't build on myth, it arrived without warning, and it would change their lives forever. The nightmare began on August 30th, 1977, with something small, beds shaking in the night.
Mum, our beds are shaking. Honest, they're really moving.
Oh, come on now. Stop messing about and just go to sleep.
But Peggy heard it too, a shuffling sound, like feet dragging across the floor. She found nothing. The next night, loud banging erupted. A heavy chest of drawers slid across the floor, blocking the doorway.
I tried to push it back, but it wouldn't budge. It was like something was holding it.
In panic, Peggy gathered her children and fled to the neighbors. Desperate, she called the police. 2 constables arrived, expecting a prank.
I saw a chair move across the floor by itself. No wires, nothing. I've never seen anything like it.
The police were baffled. They found no explanation and admitted they couldn't help. The family was alone. The entity had made its power known. This was only the beginning. The house was no longer a safe haven. It was a battleground. The initial tremors were a declaration of war. The Hodgsons were trapped on the front lines. The entity was just warming up. The terror had only begun, and there was no turning back. As the disturbances grew, a new horror emerged. The entity began to speak through Janet. The voice was deep, guttural, and angry. Impossible for a young girl.
My name is Bill Wilkins. I had a hemorrhage, went blind and died in that chair.
Researchers confirmed a man named Bill Wilkins had lived and died in the house, just as the voice described.
The voice was nothing like Janet's. We recorded hours of conversations, and the details matched records we later uncovered.
The voice was menacing, swearing, threatening and reveling in fear. Sometimes Janet's and Bill's voices overlapped in a disturbing cacophony.
I don't remember what he says, not really. After I feel so tired, like he's taken all my energy.
The entity used Janet as a puppet, draining her energy and leaving her exhausted. The family was no longer just dealing with a ghost, it was a possessive force. The voice of Bill Wilkins became the chilling soundtrack to their daily terror. The haunting had become something far more sinister, and it was only getting stronger. With police unable to help, the media got involved. The story became a national sensation. The Society for Psychical Research sent Maurice Gross to investigate.
I expected a typical haunting, but what I found was far beyond anything I'd seen.
Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair formed the core investigative team. They set up cameras and recorders, determined to capture proof. They recorded over 100 hours of audio, disembodied voices banging and the chilling growls of Bill Wilkins. Objects flew, marbles and Lego bricks launched themselves, furniture moved, doors slammed and cold spots appeared.
Janet spoke in that deep voice for hours, even with her mouth full of water.
Press photos showed Janet levitating, thrown across her bedroom by an unseen force. Skeptics claimed she was jumping, but witnesses swore she was flung. The evidence, photos, recordings, and over 30 eyewitnesses was impossible to dismiss. The investigators had captured the unseen on film and tape. The entity's power grew, feeding on attention. The activity escalated to direct physical attacks.
We were slapped, pushed and dragged by something we couldn't see.
We lived in constant fear. It wasn't just trying to scare us anymore, it was trying to hurt us.
Levitation became more frequent and violent. Even Billy was seen spinning in the air. Janet was lifted and thrown, her bedsheets wrapping around her neck.
The force bent a thick iron fireplace poker into a U-shape.
The entity started small fires, created puddles, and the voice grew more complex.
Sometimes the voice said it was more than just Bill. It said, "I am Legion."
I am Legion.
The family was trapped in chaos, facing not one, but a swarm of dark entities. Even investigators weren't safe. Objects were thrown at them, and the presence was chilling. The house was in constant upheaval. The entity was in full control, and its power seemed limitless. The terror took a devastating emotional toll. The family lived in a war zone under siege by an invisible enemy.
We were all so scared to be in our own rooms. I just wanted it to stop.
I was stretched to my breaking point, trying to protect my children. People said we were making it up.
Many accused the children of faking it, isolating the family further. Janet suffered most. She was the focus, the conduit, and the victim.
It took away my childhood. I just felt so alone and scared all the time.
The trauma left a deep scar. The family bond was tested to its limits.
We huddled together for safety. Sometimes the focus on Janet made the other kids feel left out or angry.
The haunting affected every aspect of their lives: school, money, and their sense of safety.
Our home, the one place that should have been safe, was just a nightmare.
They were prisoners in their own house. The emotional and psychological damage was as real as any physical injury. It wore them down day after day, and they were forever changed. After more than a year, the family was desperate. Science hadn't helped, so Peggy turned to the church.
I thought maybe a priest could do what nobody else could.
A priest visited in the summer of 1978, blessing the house and commanding any evil presence to leave.
The change was almost immediate. The banging and flying things got less and less. The horrible voice faded away.
The haunting didn't end abruptly, but slowly faded like dying embers. The family could finally sleep through the night. A sense of uneasy calm settled over the house. The investigators concluded their work. Life began to return to normal, but the scars remained. Janet was never truly free from the experience. The terror had receded, but the mystery lingered. The Enfield Poltergeist case ended, but its legacy endures. The house at 284 Green Street still stands, a silent monument to the terror within. New families moved in. Some reported strange experiences and left soon after. The entity was not completely gone, just dormant, waiting. Skeptics call it a hoax, but the evidence, police statements, moving furniture, the deep voice, and dozens of witnesses remains. What really happened? Was it Bill Wilkins, a poltergeist, or something more sinister? The recordings and photos show what happened, but not why. The truth remains locked away, a secret known only to the entity. The Enfield Poltergeist reminds us that the veil between worlds can be terrifyingly thin. As long as the house stands, the questions and the legacy remain.